the secret power of breath in occult traditions. There's a power you've used every day of your life. A force so close, so constant, that you've likely ignored it. It carries no name when spoken casually. But to the ancients, it was called prāṇa, ruach, pneuma, the breath of the gods. Mystics whispered that it is the first thing a soul does upon entering the world and the last thing it does when leaving. But between birth and death, this silent rhythm holds a power that can alter perception, awaken dormant senses, and unlock hidden realms. In the secret chambers of mystery schools, in the breathless caves of yogic ascetics, in the shadowed rituals of alchemists and magi, breath was never just air. It was life force. It was vibration. It was the key. So let me ask you, what if the breath you take for granted was the very mechanism by which your soul communicates with your body and the cosmos? What if the right breath could dissolve fear, sharpen your perception, and open gateways between dimensions? This is not metaphor. In the occult traditions, those systems of hidden knowledge passed through symbols, silence, and sacred lineage. Breath was treated as a tool of transmutation. To breathe with intention was to reshape reality. In this video, we're going to unlock the hidden knowledge surrounding breath. You'll learn why it was guarded by initiates, how it connects to energy centers and altered states, and why some traditions considered certain breathing patterns too powerful for the unprepared. We'll begin by traveling through ancient philosophies and secret schools to understand why breath was the first spiritual technology. Then we'll uncover the subtle mechanics behind this practice, how breath affects not only your body but your subtle energetic anatomy. And finally, we'll end with real, practical methods you can begin using today. Practices once reserved for initiates behind temple walls. So take a breath, but this time, do it with awareness. You're about to discover why breath, the most ordinary act, is also the most sacred. Historical and philosophical context. To understand why breath holds such immense spiritual power, we must first journey backward, not just through time, but through consciousness itself. Across every ancient culture, breath was never seen as mere biology. It was life's bridge between the visible and invisible. It was the thread that bound soul to body, heaven to earth. In ancient Egypt, the priests of Kemet believed that breath carried the essence of the Ka, the life force double that animated the physical body. Ritual breathing was practiced within temple chambers, often in sync with chants and sacred geometry, to align the initiate's energy with the Neteru, the divine archetypes of creation. The Ankh, often called the key of life, was not just a symbol of immortality, it was used in breathing visualizations to circulate energy through the body. Hieroglyphs even depict gods holding the Ankh to the nose of the pharaoh as if offering the breath of eternity. In India's Vedic and Tantric traditions, the Sanskrit word prāṇa does not simply mean air. It refers to the vital life force, a subtle energy that rides on the breath but is not the breath itself. In yogic science, breath is the carrier of prāṇa, and through techniques like prāṇa, the control of breath practitioners could access altered states, activate inner heat, and awaken the Kundalini Shakti coiled at the base of the spine. To the Tantrikas, breath was a serpent winding through the spine, a tool for unlocking the inner universe. In Hermetic and Gnostic teachings, the Greek term pneuma appears again and again in mystical texts. It means breath, yes, but also spirit, essence, the animating current of divine intelligence. In the Corpus Hermeticum, breath is referred to as the vehicle of logos, the word, the creative sound of the universe. Hermetic initiates were taught that by mastering the breath, one could bring the chaotic waters of the mind into stillness, creating the perfect mirror for divine revelation. The Gnostics believed that the breath was how the divine spark within communicated with the higher realms, each breath a pulse between heaven and the material world. In the Kabbalistic mysteries, the Hebrew word ruach also means both breath and spirit. It is the same word used in Genesis, and the Spirit of God, Ruach Elohim, moved upon the face of the waters. In Kabbalistic meditation, specific breathing patterns were synchronized with the visual movement of energy through the tree of life, connecting the aspirant soul to the Sphirot, the divine emanations of the Creator. Breath was not just sacred, it was the first emanation of divinity into form. Even in esoteric Christianity, breath holds an honored place. The story of Adam is not complete without this detail, and God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Breath was the animating factor, the spark of divinity inserted into dust. In every mystical tradition, whether spoken through chants in Tibetan monasteries, whispered in the silence of desert mystics, or drawn on scrolls with sacred ink, breath was known as a portal, a technique, a technology of the soul. And it was hidden for a reason. Because breath, when used with knowledge and intent, does not merely sustain life. It transforms it. Core Explanation Part 1. To the untrained eye, breath is a simple exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, a biological reflex. But to the initiate, breath is the conductor of inner alchemy. It is not just what you inhale, but how you inhale and what awareness rides upon that breath. In occult science, breath is the vehicle through which Pneuma, or ruach, flows into the subtle energy system, often called the etheric body or pranic sheath. And it is through this flow that one can awaken, balance, or even reprogram their energetic structure. Balance scale, breath, and polarity. Let's begin with polarity. Every breath contains two polarities. Inhalation, the act of drawing in the magnetic, feminine, receiving current. Exhalation, the act of release, the electric, masculine, expressive current. This dual rhythm reflects the Hermetic principle of polarity. When one breathes unconsciously, this polarity functions mechanically. But when one breathes with awareness, one becomes the alchemist, merging opposites to create a third elevated force. In many occult schools, the breath was used to harmonize the dual currents within the human energy field, known in some traditions as Ida and Pingla. These are not nerves or blood vessels, but subtle channels along the spine that weave like serpents, crisscrossing and creating a spiral of energy known as the Kundalini path. By using the breath consciously, especially alternate nostril breathing or rhythmic patterns, one could begin to awaken the central channel known as the Sushumna, where the highest states of awareness reside. Cyclone breath as a tuning fork. Now imagine that your breath is a tuning fork. Every inhalation is not just air, it is frequency. Every exhalation is not just release, it is modulation. The speed, depth, and rhythm of your breath directly influence the brain's electromagnetic activity, the balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, the openness of your energetic meridians, and the vibrational field of your aura. Occultists discovered that by breathing in specific rhythms, one could alter their state of consciousness, not metaphorically, but literally. They used breath as a bridge to cross between waking, dreaming, and visionary states. The Egyptian priesthood, for example, used ritualized breathing before entering trance for oracular work. Sufi mystics employed breath dances, like the whirling dervishes, not merely as art but as mystic breath entrainment, syncing breath with spin to trigger divine ecstasy. Even the Kabbalists had breath-linked letter intonations designed to vibrate the soul upward through the tree of life. In each case, breath is not background. It is instrument, path, and power. Wind-face breath and the voice of the soul. And then there is something subtler still. Have you ever noticed how truth is often felt as a shift in breath? You inhale sharply when something resonates. You exhale deeply when you release something false. You hold your breath when gripped by fear or awe. These are not random. These are signs that your soul is speaking through the rhythm of your breath. Many esoteric initiates were taught that learning to observe the breath was the first step to learning the language of the soul. And once you learn that language, you could begin to speak to your soul and eventually through it. In the next section, we will dive even deeper into the secret breathing patterns used for protection, for energy circulation, and even for ritual invocation. We'll explore how breath was used to activate spiritual centers, why breath holding was once considered a sacred art, and how hidden teachings warned against misuse. Core Explanation Part 2. We've seen that breath in the occult traditions is far more than a physical necessity. It is a conscious tool, a bridge to other states, and a vessel of spirit. Now we go deeper into the techniques, the guarded methods once whispered only among initiates. Locked-wiki breath holding, the sacred pause. Across many esoteric lineages, a strange emphasis is placed not just on inhaling or exhaling, but on holding the breath. This is not about suffocation or control, but about entering the void between breaths. That sacred pause between inhale and exhale is a moment where the world stops. Time thins. thought pauses. And if you are still enough, you can hear the inner voice that speaks only in silence. In yogic prāṇa, this is called kamhaka, a practice that was once taught only after years of purification. Kamhaka was believed to still the winds of the mind, allowing the inner flame called Agni to rise and purify the consciousness. Similarly, in Hermetic breathwork, the pause is used to access the void principle, the womb of creation, where the unmanifest waits to be born. Initiates were taught that it is in this stillness, this intentional breathless moment, where one might commune with higher intelligences or with the divine spark itself. Shield breath as protection and invocation. In ancient magical rituals, breath played a vital role in shielding the practitioner. Before invoking any spiritual force, the magus was instructed to perform a series of breath purifications, often synchronized with sacred geometry traced in the air. Why? Because breath charges the aura. Inhaling with intention draws in energy, and exhaling with focus sends it outward like a cloak or a sigil. The breath can become a barrier, a blade, or a beacon, depending on how it is used. In Kabbalistic practice, the breath was synchronized with Hebrew divine names, each exhalation a vibrational offering to higher planes. In Sufi traditions, breath is entwined with the name of the beloved, each breath a zikr, a remembrance that protects the heart from forgetfulness. These are not symbolic gestures. They are technologies of alignment, ways to synchronize the human system with divine frequencies. Milky Way, the breath and subtle energy centers. Now let's look inward. In the esoteric anatomy shared across many mystical systems, Taoist, Tantric, Kabbalistic, the body is not just flesh. It is a temple of energy centers, often referred to as chakras, spheres, or gates. Each center responds to different frequencies of vibration, and nothing alters those frequencies faster than breath. In Tantric practice, breath is guided through visualization and inner pathways, often with color, mantra, and intention to activate or cleanse specific centers. A slow, deep inhale into the heart center may dissolve grief. A forceful exhale through the solar plexus may shatter psychic cords of control. Breath is the carrier of attention, and attention is what awakens dormant power. In fact, in high-level yogic and Taoist inner alchemy, breath is used to condense spiritual energy into essence, transforming raw emotion into luminous fuel for enlightenment. This is why so many adepts appeared to have slowed aging, radiated peace, or even manifested unusual abilities. Because they were no longer breathing air. They were breathing light. Nazar Amulet, the warnings of the mystics. But with great power comes great caution. Many traditions warned of using breath without grounding, guidance, or humility. Breath can stir Kundalini, yes, but prematurely awakening this force without preparation can lead to psychological imbalance, emotional chaos, and energetic overload. This is why occult traditions emphasized purity of mind and heart before technique. Because breath amplifies whatever is within you. If you are filled with fear, breath will spread it. If you are filled with truth, breath will magnify it. The breath doesn't choose sides. It simply empowers what you hold inside. So now we begin to understand. Breath is not just fuel, it is fire. Not just movement, but magic. It is the forgotten wand in your own chest. And every inhale and exhale is a spell you are casting on your body, your soul, and the world around you. In the next section, we'll turn this knowledge into direct experience with practices you can begin today. Ancient breath techniques adapted for modern seekers and how to use them to ground your energy, clear your aura, and awaken the deep intelligence already inside you. Practical application. Knowledge is powerful, but in the occult traditions, knowledge without practice is like flame without oxygen. It flickers but does not burn. So now we step beyond theory and into ritualized breath. Below are 3 ancient-inspired practices, each rooted in real mystical systems, each refined for today's seeker. Treat these not as exercises, but as sacred rituals. Approach them with reverence, patience, and awareness. Wind Phase 1. The breath of alignment, daily centering. Purpose: to balance your polarity, calm the mind, and unify your energy field. Practice: sit or stand with a straight spine. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for 4. Hold again for 4. This is known as box breathing, but in esoteric practice, imagine a glowing cube of light surrounding you with each phase. As you breathe, inhale light into your center, hold that light steady, exhale disharmony, and hold the emptiness. Repeat for 7 cycles. When to use it: before meditation, after emotional triggers, or anytime you feel fragmented. Fire 2. The breath of purification, aura clearing. Purpose: to dissolve stagnant energy, emotional residue, and subtle psychic influence. Practice: stand or sit with eyes closed. Inhale deeply through the nose while visualizing golden white light entering the crown of your head. As you exhale through the mouth, visualize that light flowing down your spine and out through your hands and feet, pushing out dense energy like smoke. Optional: chant the vowel A on the exhale to vibrate the heart center. Repeat for 9 breaths, then pause and feel the shift. When to use it: after being in chaotic environments, difficult conversations, or heavy emotional states. Milky Way 3. The breath of awakening, energy activation. Purpose: to awaken subtle energy channels and stimulate intuitive insight. Practice: begin with a few natural breaths, then start alternate nostril breathing. Close your right nostril with your thumb and inhale through the left. Close the left nostril with your ring finger, open the right, and exhale. Inhale through the right, switch, and exhale through the left. That's 1 cycle. Do this for 7 full cycles. As you breathe, imagine 2 luminous serpents of light spiraling up your spine, crossing through each energy center and meeting at the 3rd eye. When to use it: before intuitive work, journaling, or any practice that requires higher insight. Shield Pro Tips for all practices. Intention matters more than perfection. Even if your breath isn't exact, your focus is what opens the door. Consistency awakens memory. Your body remembers the sacred. Repetition revives that memory. Stay grounded. If you ever feel lightheaded or overwhelmed, pause. Drink water. Touch the earth. These are powerful energies you're stirring. These practices are simple, but they are not small. They are echoes of rituals once performed in sacred groves, candlelit chambers, and desert monasteries. And now they are in your hands. In time, the breath you once ignored becomes the most trusted ally in your spiritual path. Not because it changes the world outside, but because it changes the perception within. Conclusion: you came here to learn about breath, but what you've truly discovered is power. Not loud, not dramatic, but subtle, sacred, and alive inside you. The ancient traditions were never mistaken. The breath is the first tool of the soul. It is the rhythm of life, the whisper of spirit, the silent incantation you've repeated since birth. What seems mundane is often most mystical. And breath, the thing we do over 20,000 times a day, has been the hidden key in plain sight. In this video, we've unveiled how ancient teachings saw breath not as air, but as a sacred current capable of purifying, awakening, and transforming. You've glimpsed how different traditions, Egyptian, yogic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, all arrived at the same conclusion. Master the breath and you begin to master yourself. You've also received tools, simple rituals, doorways. The rest is your journey. And here's something to remember. Each breath is a choice, a chance to inhale presence, exhale illusion. To return again and again to the center where your power waits, quiet but infinite. So as you finish this video, don't just know these things. Feel them, practice them, live them. Your breath is your anchor, your compass, and your spell. Use it with reverence. And if you do, you'll never be alone in the dark again, because you'll carry the light within you, with every breath you take. If this video awakens something within you, something ancient, something real, subscribe for more teachings on forgotten wisdom, sacred techniques, and the deeper truths hidden beneath the surface of things. And leave a comment. What is one intention you want to breathe into your life starting now? Until next time, breathe deeply and walk the path with awareness.